Monday, October 21st. Thanks for joining us on Up to the Minute. We're bringing you all the news, announcements, and events, along with a couple of special guests. I'm Dr. Amy Tan, Dean of HCC's English and Communications, and I'm joined by Dr. Nicholas Cox, our Interim Dean of HCC's Liberal Arts and Humanities. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. It's great to be here again.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Did you get out with the beautiful weather this weekend and do something fun?
I did. My oldest son and I went up to College Station to visit my youngest, and we had a good Saturday at A&M with both my sons.
Oh, that's perfect. Did you get to be outside some?
We did a little walk around the campus so that my older son could actually see the school, and we went out for a little ice cream. It was nice.
It's a great campus, and I hope all of you were outside this weekend because it was really one of our special fall weekends that we don't get that often here in Houston. So it was lovely. We are coming to you live. I'm live from Central Campus, and we are live on HCCTV at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday whenever HCC is in session. But how can people find us, Nick?
That's right. We are live on the Houston Community College District's Facebook page and on YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and on HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
And today is Mental Health Monday. So we are happy to welcome back our monthly guest discussing Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I'm happy to welcome Jessica Bellant, the Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Amy.
Yes, I'm looking forward to hearing what you can share about the information about this month so that we can bring awareness to domestic violence. Very important topic. So we'll be right with you in about 10 minutes. First, Nick is discussing a learning framework to help students succeed in their early years. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Dean Tan. Welcome to the show, Dr. Nall. Let's begin with you telling us about the learning framework class. What is it? Most of our students start their first semester probably taking this class. What do we hope that students learn? What are the objectives of this learning framework course?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on this morning. Learning Framework, our EDUC 1300 course, is the desire for our students to walk away understanding more about themselves. I often say that this course is not just an academic development course, but it is also a personal development course, that who they are as a person just happens to be a student right now. But at the cornerstone of what we are endeavoring to do in this course is to help them understand more about who they are so that they'll actually know for certain where they're going. And so we're always trying to give them strategies, tools, and resources that apply to college, but everyday life, so that they can have a holistic experience while they're in college, but be able to be that confident professional when it's time to enter into the workforce. And so we are always exploring through the process of self-assessment, and we know that that is gathering information about yourself to make informed decisions. So we want our students to be well informed of the career paths that they have chosen and who they are as a makeup in that career path, so that they can be well on their way to enter to the workforce and be confident about their decision.
Well, I understand as a student success professor that you have some sort of specific strategies for success that you deploy. Can you talk a little bit about those strategies?
Yes, I always like to say that this class is kind of like a life class. When you come in, you're probably going to be metaphorically sitting on my couch, right? And so we're going to do a deep dive. And one of the things that I always employ to them is the quote by Ivan Toffler from his book called Future Shock. And that is, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And so again, a lot of this work that we do in our class is about self-assessment. So we're taking self-assessments such as the 16 personalities test, where we're investigating characteristics and their personality and how they relate to other humans, particularly in the workforce, in the classroom, even in their communities. We want them to understand their personality. We also do learning styles type inventories. And so we look at the VARK assessment, which is an assessment that focuses on how you learn using your senses. And so are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner, read, write learner, or a kinesthetic learner? And so we want to make sure that we are introducing them to those resources, again, to better help them understand who they are so that they can apply those resources and be able to be a holistic person, again, in and outside of the classroom.
Well, you mentioned that quote by Alvin Toffler, a future studies or a future trends forecaster. That quote to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Why does that phrase hold such meaning for work that you do with your students?
Because I think it's important that they understand that a lot of them are coming in from high school into the college atmosphere. And we want them to understand that how you learned in high school is probably going to be much different than how you're going to learn in this classroom, right? Some of the rules and regulations that we know K through 12 has is much different than when you enter into an institution of higher learning. And so I think it's very important to get them right away in the mindset of unlearning some things that they may have learned or the way that they've learned them prior to getting into my classroom, and helping them to understand that you may have to relearn some things in a different way that's going to make you a highly effective person, more than it did when you were in high school. So perhaps you knew how to take notes in high school, but perhaps I'm going to show you how to take notes in a different method, perhaps the Cornell method, that you may not have otherwise been introduced to unless you walked into my classroom. And so, and also an opportunity for them to learn, because many of them don't know what this experience is like, right? Because they've never been. And so giving them the opportunity to say, I need you to open up your minds and develop this growth mindset as opposed to maybe a fixed mindset that you have, so that we can get this experience tailored to you and get your desires met as to why you came.
Well, that all sounds excellent. We know that one of the things that we want to talk about is this concept that you have in your class about thriving versus surviving in the college experience. How do you use that concept when you're teaching?
Yeah, so our textbook authors have said the keys to college success is thriving in the college experience, or surviving the college experience. And so I always tell them, how many of you believe that? I ask them, how many of you believe that? And many say, yeah, that's true, right? Because the book said it. And I said, but this is one part of the book that I actually disagree with. I don't want to just give you keys to survive. I want to give you keys so that you will thrive. And one of the difference in that is when you're surviving, you're just getting by, right? You're just doing the bare minimum. You may even be mediocre, right? You're not really putting forth your best effort, maximizing your fullest potential. However, that is what thriving is. That is when you are maximizing your fullest potential, putting your best foot forward, and you are achieving the highest possible outcomes for yourself, that you desire to have. And so I always say, I want you to thrive and not just survive. If I'm going to give you keys, I want you to be able to unlock the door in the best possible, most highly effective way.
Well, in our last couple of minutes here, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about for student success. It's essential for students to find a purpose and engage in some self-discovery. Why is that? Why are those things important for student success in your view?
I think if you understand your purpose, right, what your mission is, what your drive is, what motivates you, that is what's going to help you feel that you have a place in our society, right? And so purpose is always important to me that we discover again right away with doing those self-assessment initiatives that we have in our class, because we want students to understand what they've come for, why they're choosing to major in what they're choosing to major in, and does it align with your likes, your interests, your personality? All of that encompassing is going to help find direction to the purpose that you're aligned with in society. And so I think it's important that we discover that. I think it's important that we help students understand their why, so that that will continue to motivate them to persist through completion.
And do you see a difference here with your concept of understanding your why from finding your purpose?
I do. We actually do an assignment in our class that I created a couple of semesters ago, and that's our academic vision board. And again, it ties into your why. I want you to utilize this motivational tool, the academic vision board, to remind you. And students always come back and say, Dr. Nall, I appreciate you for helping me understand more of why I chose to do what it is that I said I was going to do, more than just looking at the amount of money that I can make, but you want to make sure that you are passionate about what you're doing. And so it has been very helpful to have even that assignment in our classroom for students to be able to look back on and say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm looking at my mantras that I live by. I'm looking at my quotes that I live by, which is a part of this vision board. I'm looking at those interests that I have, which is a part of this vision board. I'm looking at the career that I've chosen and why I've chosen it, which is a part of this vision board. And it all helps to tie into why I'm doing what I'm doing so that I can keep doing it until I reach where I want to go.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bryant Nall. It's great to talk to you about your work as an academic student success professor at HCC Central. We'll have your information in our post after the show, but it's just wonderful to hear about what you're doing with our students out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
All right, up next, after a commercial break, Amy will talk to our Mental Health Monday guest about Domestic Violence Month.
When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
That one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much like that helped me. I finally like knew that I had somebody.
And we're back with Jessica Bellant, Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, Inc. Welcome back to the show, Jessica.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And you're here because October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So can you tell us a little bit about that initiative?
Yeah, so Domestic Violence Awareness Month is a time we honor every single year those we've lost to domestic violence and those who have experienced domestic violence. We know that everyone either is a survivor of domestic violence or knows somebody who's a survivor of domestic violence. 1 in 3 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 4 teens. So this really does impact everyone.
Extremely pervasive, not statistics that we want to hear. And yet it's very important that we know them and we're aware of them so that we can make a difference in somebody else's life, if not our own life, if we're impacted. Can we begin with a definition of domestic violence?
Sure. So the most simply put definition is really it's a pattern of abusive behaviors that one individual uses against another in order to gain power and control. So these are in intimate partner relationships, relationships that you've previously been in potentially. So someone you've had any kind of intimate relationship, dating, marriage, anything like that. And it doesn't have to include physical violence. Many people think domestic violence is only physical. For our criminal justice definition, yes, there has to be some sort of physical violence, but our public health definition, what we know, people can often experience emotional abuse, verbal violence, financial abuse, isolation, intimidation, use of children in order to make it so that individual can't leave. Domestic violence looks many different ways, and oftentimes physical violence is a last resort.
And I know we're going to talk more deeply about this in a minute, but just so that it's important to have that definition, to understand it's about power, because I know that many victims, they're not sure, right? They're not sure, is this or they're in denial. Oh, that's not happening to me. And I know we're going to talk more about that. Before we get to that, why is honoring Domestic Violence Awareness Month significant?
I think because, like you were just touching on, I think sometimes, it starts off, abuse escalates, and it could start off as emotional abuse, verbal violence, not that physical violence. And for many folks, if emotional harm, manipulation was a part of our lives growing up, it might be really hard to identify that in the future. Also, kind of jealousy, possessiveness can be kind of attractive right now. People think, oh, it's a good thing that they don't want me to talk to other people. That means they really care about me. No, anytime that you feel like you do not have the power to make the decisions in your life, that's domestic violence. If you ever feel afraid to talk to your partner about someone, that's probably domestic violence, right? If you're worrying about their reaction. It's so important to talk about it because we need to have an idea of, hey, if I'm not feeling happy in my relationship because I don't feel like I have choices, I don't have ownership over my life, I have to okay everything or tiptoe, walk on eggshells around my partner, that's a big red flag. And we don't talk about that part of domestic violence enough.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with any other mental health topic, right? Like the physical violence we can see that it's visual. Mental health is much trickier, and we know that can still leave deep and lasting and painful scars. So in thinking about all of this, what is something that you want all friends and family of survivors to know?
So first, keep a strong relationship with that survivor in your life. I know it is challenging. I've been in a situation with a family member where, you're watching them in this really horrific relationship. Maybe they've left, but then return to this person who's harming them. And that can be really emotionally taxing. But that person causing harm wants to put a bridge between you, wants you to step away and say, I can't anymore. I can't watch you in this relationship. So what I would say to all family and friends, please keep a strong relationship, stay supportive of that survivor. Eventually, they are going to be ready to leave. It may take a really long time, much longer than we'd like it to, but when they are ready, you're going to want them to know that no matter what, you're there for them, that they can come to you.
So leaving that lifeline open, making sure there's always a way for contact, and the keeping those lines of communication open and strong.
Definitely.
Well, and what about our survivors of domestic violence? What would you want to say to them?
Yeah, so healing is possible. So I just provided a presentation last week, actually at HCC Southeast, and I had multiple students come up to me afterwards wondering, how do we heal? Is it possible? How long does it take? And I just want all survivors to know that healing is possible. There are organizations like the Bridge that I'm at all over Houston, so many of us who provide free services for counseling, support groups where you can meet with other survivors. So many of us are survivors, and if we share and support one another and connect, there is a life after abuse. There is a possibility for healthy relationships. We all deserve happiness, right? And so happiness is definitely possible. It may not seem that way in our darkest times, but it is.
Truly a powerful message. And yes, like I think that's part of the concern, right? That I think people who experience domestic violence get to a dark space where they just don't believe that there's an out. They're too deep. There's, no turning back. And it's scary to think about leaving what even if it's terrible. And so can we link this to campus? What rights do domestic violence survivors have on our campus?
Yes, so all students, faculty, and staff actually have the right to feel safe on their campus. So if you have experienced domestic violence, stalking from someone who has harmed you, sexual harm from someone, you have the right not to come into contact with them on campus. So every campus has a Title IX coordinator. Find out, talk to your professors, a counselor, someone you know on campus who's our Title IX coordinator. Talk to them about accessing your rights so you don't share classes, a work study program, a living situation, anything. And also, if you want accountability, Title IX coordinators can help you with beginning an investigation and doing a report so that there is some accountability on campus that is separate from our criminal justice system.
Yes, and I want everybody who's watching to know that we do have that information on our website. It's on the front page. You just have to scroll down to the bottom and click on Title IX. Any of your professors can direct you, and that information is included on all of our course syllabi. So really quickly, before I have to let you go, what are a couple ways that individuals can honor Domestic Violence Awareness Month?
First, believe survivors in your life. Oftentimes it seems unbelievable. This person's so nice. How could they do the harm? Believe survivors. By not believing, it keeps it quiet, keeps people feeling shame and stigma. Also, get involved in your local domestic violence organizations. Volunteer. We have an event coming up this Thursday at the Bridge. If you want to come out, a Voices of Resilience panel, or I'm doing another couple presentations at the HCC this week, so on domestic violence. So just keep an eye out for different events happening this month.
And that's why we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so that we can bring attention to this very important topic. And my producer is in the background saying, yes, yes, believe survivors. Thank you so much, Jessica Bellant. It's always lovely to have you on the show. Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, Inc. And we're going to have all of the information in our post after the show.
Thank you, Amy.
I'll see you again on another Mental Health Monday.
Yes, sounds great. Have a great one, everyone.
Coming up after a quick commercial break, Nick and I will return with some news and announcements.
When I grow up, I want to work at a school so I can be a teacher.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
We're back with some news and announcements. First up, we have University Preview Days. There are 2 coming up. HCC Career Services is hosting a University of Houston Bauer Business Preview Day next week for students to network with the well-known program to consider transferring there. After that, students will have an opportunity to speak with representatives from Lamar University in November. So UH Bauer will be here on Tuesday, October 22nd. That's tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. at our West Loop campus. And in November, Lamar University will be here from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's Monday, November 4th at our East Side Learning Hub. So put those on your calendar. Check our post after the show for more information. And Nick, what is going on with Girl Chat?
Well, today may be Mental Health Monday for HCCTV, but we also have Girl Chat Wednesdays. This is a mental health group that our students might be interested in. There are some things only another woman can understand. So this group offers a safe space for our students to discuss those subjects. This will be on Wednesday, October 23rd at noon at our HCC Central Harmon Buildings, room 101. Check our post after the show for more information.
And you want to avoid a health scare by attending Coleman's Spooktacular event. HCC Coleman College will host what it is calling a spooktacular healthcare careers fair. It will be an interactive event allowing student groups to take mad lab tours of 5 healthcare programs. Then at the career fair, trick-or-treating, judging pumpkin decorating, and eating pizza. These are all things we associate with the end of October. 9 a.m. to noon on Tuesday, October 29th. That's going to be at our own Coleman Tower. So be sure to check the post after the show for more information.
And also coming up this month of October, actually this is pushing into November, the Trick or Dog Treats. There is a West Houston Institute dog show. A digital communications professor and longtime dog guru, as well as occasional HCCTV guest, Carolyn Tan has orchestrated a one-of-a-kind showcase called the Tricks and Treats Dog Show. Having had her on this show before, we don't think you'll want to miss it. It'll be from 10 a.m. to noon on Friday, November 1st at the West Houston Institute's courtyard. Check our post after the show for more information.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. I'm going to have to try to make that. And I will also be at the annual HCC speech tournament. So register now. Many graduates say speech tournaments are where they learned how to get by in business. So think about registering for this one. You can earn up to $1,500 in scholarship awards. Any full or part-time HCC student can apply, including our dual credit students, if they maintain a 2.0 or higher. So that's going to be on Saturday, November 16th at 8:30 a.m. That's going to also be at West Loop campus. The deadline to register is Wednesday, November 6th. So you have to register and check the post after the show for how to do that.
All right, last announcement. The spring registration has begun. The spring semester registration is now open with classes being offered in a variety of programs, various semester lengths, and modalities. Our courses are offered in the traditional in-person modality. We offer classes online anytime, asynchronously. We offer classes online on a schedule with virtual meetings, and we have hybrid versions where you're partially in-person, partially online. And of course, our labs are in-person or hybrid as well. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover your costs, go to hccs.edu/apply.
It was great to see you on this lovely Monday, Nick.
You too. I'll see you again next week.
All right, we'll be here next week. Coming up tomorrow, we'll congratulate Bob McCracken as the new interim Vice Chancellor of Administration and Operations. We are all very happy to see him in that position. He is going to be fantastic. And later this week, we'll welcome another new college Vice President when Alberto Urbina joins us from HCC Southeast. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.